Hello everyone, the CD Spin here, your favorite dumb blonde kid, bringing you all another album review. New Zealand singer-songwriter Lorde is back with her first album in 4 years, Jesus. After 3 singles, none of which I really loved, she has come back with the Jack Antonoff-produced album, Solar Power. Now, if we look back at her discography, before this, we also have her debut record, from 2013, Pure Heroin. An album that I'm really not super crazy about for many reasons. However, it did have her biggest song to this day, Royals. And we also have 2017's Melodrama, which I thought was a huge improvement over Pure Heroin, simply because it was very well produced, cinematic, and very emotionally raw, which makes it honestly one of my favorite albums of 2017. But after that, Lorde is here to toss us Solar Power. The album opener, The Path, starts off with this interesting, mysterious instrumental right before Lorde starts singing, and a pretty cool drum beat starts. And while I do appreciate the instrumentation and all the detail, I'm not a fan of really the vocals because they feel a little bit claustrophobic and multi-layered. And I also feel like I have to mention this every time, but the song fades out, okay? Don't fade out your songs, children, okay? I've said this multiple times, but please don't, alright? It's tacky. Next up in the track list, the second song, is the eponymous single, which includes, vocals that sound, extremely up close, just like the last song. Pretty much this whole album has vocals that just sound a little bit too up close. And the song is, at some points, kind of stripped back with muted guitars, but there are nice touches that I do kind of enjoy. The line, "I'm kind of like a prettier Jesus," is pretty dope. Come on, you have to admit it. This track is pretty enjoyable, but there are things about it that I'm not super crazy about. It is one of the bigger bops of the album, though, like one of the bigger bangers, I guess. And then next is the song California, which is a continuation of like this nice kind of calm instrumental. It's calm, it's nice, and in fact, it makes me feel like I'm just sitting in a hotel room in a beach resort in the summer, and I do kind of believe that's what Lorde was going for. Obviously, she was going for a summery vibe, but like it just feels like a nice, relaxing day in the summer. There's still some quiet acoustic guitars in the background, and overall, it's not like a bop or a banger like the last song or anything. But I'm kind of fine with that, and I'm also enjoying, for the most part, Jack Antonoff's production. It's very nicely polished, but I also feel like Jack may be, like, I don't know, a bit recycling, maybe a bit. And then next is the single, Stoned at the Nail Salon, and this one is very similar instrumentally, like the last few tracks. It still feels quite breezy and summery, and I don't really see it as having that much single power. Like, just as a single, it doesn't really seem like a super great pick, but it's a nice track. Probably noticed at this point that I don't really have much new to say, like I keep repeating the same things, but that's really just because everything feels very one note. Song and the album as a whole would be a very nice record to listen to while I paint my kitchen, something that's just kind of easy on the mind, I guess. Next is Fallen Fruit, which is already from the get-go a little bit of a different route, with kind of a more diverse and different idea. Then in the middle, there's actually a beat switch that was pretty unexpected. Lorde's vocals still feel incredibly close to my ear, but as a track, it doesn't really go anywhere. I kind of wished it went somewhere, and it just feels a little bit dry. Next song in the track list is Secrets from a Girl Who's Seen It All, and it is more, I guess, upbeat and kind of an interesting track, if that even, and it's more pop focused than the rest of the other tracks on this album. And there is this kind of fake airport PA announcement, I guess, towards the end, which I don't really understand the inclusion of. Just not really sure or comfortable with the sonic direction of this album, I guess. And you know, I just I don't know what to feel about it. And next is The Man with the Axe, which is a bit more of a melancholic song, if you can even call it that. But there's just not really anything to distinguish it from any other track on the album. That's my biggest gripe so far with this album. It's that it just feels incredibly one note, like I said. Very little of this album is, like, super recognizable. Compare that with Melodrama, where there was a lot of variety between the songs. But not like too much where it was just suffocating and it sounds like Lorde is throwing everything against the wall. But every attempt to do something new on this record just feels kind of limp and lifeless. And at first, I thought that was just because I listened to this album at night. It was like midnight, I was tired. But upon re-listen, it just hurts me to say, but I don't know if Lorde really put that much work into this album. I mean, you could tell Lorde was definitely imaginative with the album. But overall, it just doesn't really hit me as something that's like very well thought out, kind of like melodrama. And next is Dominoes, which is kind of a simple song that doesn't really try anything new. And I mean, that's literally all I have written in my script. It's just okay. Next is Big Star, which again, and you guys need to understand that when I write my scripts for my videos, I really hate repeating the same thing over and over. I know I do it, alright? I know that I do it all the time. But it's just kind of an annoying thing that I do, and I don't really like doing it. And I found myself repeating myself multiple times on the script about the same thing. It's a nice song. Yeah, it's well produced. Yeah, that's it. Then next is a kind of sweet-sounding interlude type track that I don't really mind. Then next is the second to last track, Mood Ring, which is another single that I actually, to be honest, didn't get to listen to before listening to this whole album. And this song is quite nice in my opinion. It's a lot more exciting than the other tracks on the back half of this record, and it really just conveys that summer vibe in a more, I guess, desirable way. And the production isn't luscious or anything, but it's pretty good. And next is Oceanic Feeling, which is a 6.5 minute song, which I honestly thought that I would be sick of. A long song on this album just didn't seem like it would fit. But I actually like it because it really gives kind of a little bit of variety and room to breathe with those summer vibes. And as being a closer on this album, it really helps it because if it were anything else, this song wouldn't really be as appealing. I really love when an artist makes an album kind of set in a specific season, like summer or winter, and the album closer is meant to kind of symbolize the end of that season. Prime example, Weezer's White Album with Endless Bummer. Like, it's just meant to encapsulate whatever the rest of the album was, which was the actual season, and then that last track is the ending of the season. You know what I mean? So my final thoughts. This album is meant to be a kind of calm and breezy summery album. But at some points, it kind of just exhausts me. It really feels like this album was meant to be minimal, but this is just, it's too minimal, okay? It's meant to be an album that's easy to listen to, but it's difficult to listen to. Understand, no song on this record is bad at all. There's nothing on this record that I hate, okay? There's literally nothing that I just outright dislike on most reviews. But there's nothing that I really love either. So much of this record is just incredibly one note and more importantly, just forgettable. I'm feeling a light 6. A light 6, yeah. That's about it for the review and see you guys.